Hey guys, I'm gonna be doing a auction preview for Heritage's boxing only auction. Now, a few things to call out. Number one, this was all consigned by one person. I actually know the person who consigned it. He's selling off his collection. I bought a lot of cards off of him in the past, and some of my bigger pre-war boxing cards are on there. And I know that there are some boxing fans here on the channel, so I wanted to go over some of the different lots that there are in here and highlight some really cool pieces. So I think the biggest card to highlight is this T226 of Sam Langford. Now, this is a card I own. This is considered one of the toughest boxing cards to get out there. Now, the interesting thing about T226 cards is SGC and PSA have different years on them. So PSA labels these as 1908 and SGC labels them as 1910. Now, for my research, it's a 1910 card, not 1908. Will PSA ever change their dates? I don't think so. But what's interesting about these, so first, let me show you the backs of these. Really, really awesome backs, right? And see some of these with baseball cards too, Red Suns. Very vibrant, right? And it's a cool design. But there are 4 cards in the set which are considered extremely scarce. I wouldn't consider them short print because they were probably printed as much as other boxers, but this was a regional issue out of Louisiana. Now, not to get into politics, but think about where Louisiana was in the early 1910s, and there was 4 African American boxers in the set. Well, there's very few of those that remain, and Langford is the second best of these 4. This card hasn't publicly sold, I believe, in 10 years or so. It's a very tough card. I think it's like a pop 3 or pop 4. I know it is a 1. It has pretty good eye appeal for a 1. I mean, there's some staining, there's some rounded corners and things like that. But this is a card you don't see every day. And it's considered Langford's, I wouldn't say, I don't know if it's considered his best card or not. He might have some other really, really scarce stuff, but it's definitely one of his best cards out there. And Sam Langford, in my opinion, was second to Jack Johnson for some of those early 1900s boxers. Jack Johnson didn't let Sam Langford fight against him, and many people think Langford could have possibly beat him. But this is a nearly impossible card to find, and it's a grail on the pre-war boxing side of things. And just for reference, the Jack Johnson, I believe, sold for almost $15,000 or $20,000. I don't have the comp up right now, but when that Jack Johnson went up for auction, I think it was like early 2010s or it was before then. Yeah, these don't come up that often. So again, I do have one of the 4 that are graded between all the companies, but I think this is the only one that's at PSA. It could be wrong. Where they didn't talk more about it over here. Yeah, look, included Langford or short prints. There's 4 of them out there. Jack Johnson, then there's Langford, then there's Gans, and then there's also Jeanette. I also have the Jeanette, but yeah, very, very tough card here. The second card, which is going pretty well too, it's another Jack Johnson. And this is a W590. There are ways to date these. I'm not an expert on this set by any means, but this got a 4. You can take a look at. I mean, it looks pretty sharp in my opinion. I mean, there's some damage on the corners over here, which is respectable. This card, I want to say it's like a pop 4 or pop 5. I also own a copy, and pop 2, none higher. Well, that's at PSA. There, I have mine at SGC. So, estimate value is 5,000 on it. These are again very, very tough. If you're familiar with the W590s, they had boxers in there, they had baseball players, they had football players, and you know, finding a W590 in general isn't tough, but if you're trying to find a specific subject, it can be tough. And the Jack Johnson doesn't populate all the time, and it's a little bit of a tougher one to source. And I know strip cards, some people don't like them, some people do like them, but again, one of his tougher cards to source. Jack Johnson is essentially kind of like the Babe Ruth of pre-war boxing. Right? His cards sell for the most. He has the biggest fan base. All right, up next is a E75 set plus error card. So let's take a look at this over here. I can't remember what the error was on here. Let's see what that was. I remember seeing the error card in the Facebook group. Let's see if this loads. Okay, so here we go. Abatel, but Ketchel is pictured. So that is the error right here. I don't know how rare this error is, if it's a one-off print or there's a lot of those out there. But you can take a look at some of the grades. Corbett is a famous boxer from the 1800s. Sullivan, also over there, they actually fought. Abatel over here, and you can see those are different pictures, right? And then Stanley Ketchel right there. I kind of wish they put all three of those in one row, to be honest with you. There's the Jack Johnson. I want to see if I had a few E75s. I don't know if I have one in my collection still. That's a great grade right there in the Ketchel in the 7. But there's 20 out of 22 in this set. Mentions over there, so I'm curious who is missing. I don't know who it's missing, but fun set. And you can get those right now. It's at 1300 before BP. E78, Jack Johnson. This is authentic altered. You can take a look. I'm curious where this is altered at. Maybe the cut. See, it's a little crooked. But this is one that you don't see every day. What's it mentioning down below over here? Only 5 examples ever graded by PSA. 10 have been graded by between PSA and SGC, which is a very low pop. Obviously, there could be more out there, but I just don't see these that often. All right, so a few others over here. We'll keep going through. This is actually pretty sick over here. Look at that. Jeffries versus Jack Johnson. This is easily one of your most famous fights of all time. A ringside ticket. This is really cool. And I want to say that this fight also caused riots around the country. This got Jack Johnson his championship. Never mind, I was wrong. It was against Tommy Burns. Independence Day 1910 that solidified the status. Original fight of the century. 15 are out there. I wonder how many of those are ringside versus other. Is this the closest to the ring? But this is really an awesome piece because this is, it's one of your biggest boxing fights of all time. I don't know for Jack Johnson if it would be his most valuable ticket. I would assume it would be because that's his most famous fight, unless something earlier is out there and people want that instead. I don't collect tickets, so I don't know, but this is still a really amazing piece. All right. Singleton and Cole, Jack Johnson, famous fighters. It almost looks like a UK release. The way you know if sometimes UK release is if it's a cigarette card and they don't have a factory. British issued, Jack Johnson. Yep. Cool image though. It's a lot later, 1930, but there's that. Here is a great one, Susini. These are out of Cuba. I believe this was in the same subset that has the Tris Speaker and some of the other baseball players. Yeah, the sports series. There's been a decent amount of Susinis that have came up in the last few years, but they still aren't super easy by any means like that. A 3.5 is still a really good grade. Sadadaro O. That's in here. That's interesting. I believe he's still alive though. You can but I don't know how tough that card is to get autographed. Gotta do some research on that one. I know this is a boxing video. A Churchman over here. This is an 8. Seen a lot of Churchmans. This is also considered an alternative Jack Johnson rookie. This got graded a 6. This is a deck of cards. I've actually owned the deck of cards before. I don't remember if I kept the Jack Johnson or not. You can see the back over here. They're James Jeffries playing cards. I wish they had Jeffries Johnson on here, but I think these were probably issued before the fight. E77. Let's take a look at that. Min size not met. That's a shame. It's a good looking card. Although it is diamond cut. What's the pop on here? Pop 124 total graded. So they're out there, but this has pretty good corners for that example. UNC playing card. One thing I do really like, and I'll just go over this. There's a few different UNCs over here. Look at that. Turkey red. I actually have one of those in the backdrop of my videos. I can't remember if I have a checklist back or not. But I have that on my shelf. These are awesome. They're really great display pieces for an office or anything like that. Like the colors pop and everything like that too. I always wish that these were normal size. I feel like they would be a lot more valuable than they are because they are larger cards. You guys might know the Ty Cobb in the set, which is pretty expensive. Playing card, Jack Johnson, Jack of Spades. I do like the design on this, but I've talked about in videos. I'm not the biggest fan of strip cards, but I like the design. And no more than 7 graded between SGC and PSA on this one. These are hand cut, issued out of the UK, the Boys Friends. These are, I believe, US based. You get Jeffries and Jack Johnson over here. We'll jump into a few other things over here. We have a pet cigarette, which is very tough. I'll jump into the minors. Let's see what else we can cover really quick. I believe these are out of Spain, if I remember correctly. Probably Jack Dempsey's your best. I think he's in that set. I'll have to double check. Your 1948 Leaf of Jack Johnson. This looks like the same as the Cohen Weenan, which you can actually see right over here. But this was issued a lot later. Both these are UK releases. I'm surprised the Cohen Weenan in a 5 is less than this in a 4.5. That's shocking to me. It's a good looking 5 too. I actually graded out a 5 if I remember correctly. You see some other stuff we'll pull up. This is the Jack Johnson rookie. Let's take a look at that too. All right, pet cigarettes. So there's 2 different backs with the same front design. You have the pets, and then you also have the Kopek. Both are very, very tough to find, and you have some wrestlers in there as well as boxers. The Jack Johnson does really well on the boxing side of things. Obviously, this is Jeffries. There's also a John L. Sullivan in there, retired. Pretty cool pose. And then on the wrestling side of things, the name is escaping me. Is it Frank Gotch that's in here? I think it's Frank Gotch. Yeah, Frank Gotch has a portrait. I really like this release. I don't know if I'd go for both. I can't remember though. Pet or Kopek's rare. Pop 2 with 1 higher SGC. Pop 4 total. So there's that one. T227s. This is the same set that has a Cobb. This is a one with a pinhole. But another classic crossover between both sports. I want to see if this has the Dempsey. It does. I was right. There we go. I'm pretty sure I've seen the Dempsey in here before. While that loads, I don't know why my things aren't loading. We have a Jack Johnson rookie. And pretty clean copy overall. It's a 2.5. This is an easy way to get into one of his cards. It's not super tough to find. I mean, at 165, I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to bid on this. I mean, that seems really cheap. I've sold ones for $250 to $300 before. And Jack Johnson. There. Here we go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are out of Spain. There's the Dempsey. Tooney, I believe, was a heavyweight champion too. You're Schmeling over here. Very famous. Knocking people out. Let's see what else is pretty interesting. Another Cohen & Wienen. This is a greenback. There's 3 different colored backs. I think black, gray, and green. Here's another pet cigarette. Let's see what else is in here. That's pretty cool. Oh, Imperial. This is out of Canada, C52. I didn't even see that one. So there's, you can see over here, champion athletes over there. This is the Canadian version. These are much tougher to find than the US based ones. Much, much tougher. It's trimmed, but still, just don't see these. UTC, not the easiest set to find. This also has the, man, what's the rookie card that's in there? Name's escaping me. Man, it's escaping me. One of your best pre-war boxers is also in that set. Satchel Paige in here, 1949 Viz Ed viewer with SGC graded insert. I'll have to do a little research on that one. Propaganda's Montiel. Another set out of Cuba. And these are classic. People know this for like the first Stan Musial card, or one of the first Stan Musial cards. These are paper thin. So this has really good eye appeal for it. A lot of these are just completely trashed. A little bit of paper loss here on the back. But it is a classic baseball set. And it does have the boxers in there. I think there's a tennis player or two also in that. Magic Photo, one of the first Topps releases. Another Jack Johnson in the 1956 gum. Obviously, I didn't cover every lot, but there is a ton of stuff in here. E79 scrappers. This is really cheap at $100 on that. So some stuff I'm probably gonna bid on, but wanted to show you guys this auction. Tons and tons of Jack Johnson cards coming from a personal collection. The guy's selling off all his boxing cards. Sold off already some of the rare stuff, but there is some huge ones like the Sam Langford over here, W590 Jack Johnson. This E78, you don't see those every day, as well as this over here, which I don't think I covered that one. Did I? Jack Johnson photograph with 1911 Caramel Jack Johnson. I did not cover this one. So you get the original photograph used. And is that a type 1? Didn't say. I accidentally skipped this one, but this is another tougher one to find. Let's see. Oh, it's a type 4. I don't know all the different types. I don't know. But this is a pretty cool pairing, right? You get the card and the photograph side by side. Yeah, I think I covered all the bigger stuff in here. And if you guys want to check out this auction, I'm going to put a link down below in the description. And also pin it as a comment. There's some more Susinis over here. Yeah, if you want to get into your first boxing cards or your first Jack Johnsons, this might be a way. And I may also be doing more of these auction previews here in the future. I know I'm going to do a live stream for another auction soon. It'll be like the first week of November or second week of November. But stay tuned for that. Hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll catch you in another one.